And welcome to the Beechwood Independent Schools Board meeting of January 9th, 2023. Mrs. Reed, would you do roll call, please?
Yes. Mrs. Berger? Here. Dr. Savignano?
Here.
Mrs. Sleet? Here. Ms. Stricker?
Here.
Okay, this evening we are going to recognize some special guests. I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Stacy for some informational.
All right, so number one, it's always a pleasure to be able to recognize students and staff at the board meeting, and tonight we have some of both. The first person we would like to recognize is our high school teacher, Mr. C.J. Fryer. C.J. was just recently appointed to the Education Professional Standards Board by Governor Andy Beshear. EPSB promotes high levels of student achievement by establishing and enforcing rigorous professional standards for preparation, certification, and responsibility and ethical behavior for all professional educators in Kentucky. His first board meeting was December 12th, 2022, where he was officially sworn in. So Mr. Fryer, if you'll please come forward. We'd love to take your picture and get you on. Amy, you're right there. Why don't you get out? Yeah?
Yeah, she loves it.
All right, so I will say as CJ sits down, EPSB appointment is no joke. I mean, he'll not only help set the standards for new teachers, but it's also an ethics committee that reviews different situations of unethics. So I don't envy CJ for that one, but we do appreciate your willingness to be a part of that, and do want to recognize any appointment by the governor as a special thing. So congratulations, Mr. Fryer. Now the next group that I would like to recognize is our cheer group. These ladies, you talk about a long season, right? Long season. They not only have football, but then they turn right around with about 1 week off and run into basketball. Never seem upset. And ladies, we had one really nasty game. All right, a cold, nasty game, and they were right out there in the mix. So at the same time we're recognizing the football team tonight, we absolutely want to recognize these young ladies who show up and give their best effort every single game for multiple teams. So ladies, if you don't mind coming forward, we would love our picture with you.
Yeah. Schultz got to get in there.
And ladies, in all honesty, I do want to make sure you know that you're appreciated. I mean, you all put in a lot of time, and I absolutely know that, and so does the board, and so do these guys over here, even though they're awful communicators at this age, so don't hold it against them for not saying that to you. But you guys are a great addition to our athletic programs. Next, I have been extremely spoiled, Coach Rash. 8 years, 7 championship games, 6 titles. I mean, absolutely unheard of. But one thing Coach and I talk about a lot, to be a successful program, you have to have the funding and the backing. And the board has done an amazing job backing our athletic programs in my time here, and I greatly appreciate that, number one. Number two, our athletic boosters program has turned into a juggernaut and is absolutely putting a great product on the table. And number three, you've definitely instilled a program that has a high expectation year after year after year I mean, every time I hear you at a playoff dinner say, seniors are going to have to step up, seniors are going to have to step up, and every year it seems like seniors step up, and no doubt again this year. I usually don't do individual, but we got some big ones this year. So number one, coach was named Coach of the Year by the National Federation of High School Football. So that was a great honor. Antonio Robson was All-State. Mitchell Berger, All-State. And Austin Waddell, MVP of the finals from the defensive standpoint. That's not easy to do. So congratulations to those individuals. And Coach, just congratulations to seniors. Guys, we do appreciate you coming in. We have to have the opportunity to honor you, but also, again, another amazing thing this board does, as you all help us as an institution, they turn around and help you and make sure that you have that trophy to keep for the rest of your days. Coach, anything you want to say?
Yes, there is, because it's important that we do this on this night. When I came out of college, I can remember my defensive coordinator, and I won't quote him word for word because there was probably a concurrent version. But this never gets done without support from above. People don't realize that. They show up on Friday night, we sit in the bleachers, and it's all about the game, and that's it. They go home, and they don't understand all the things that it takes in order for this to happen. And it starts at the very top with your seat, with those seats. It is crucial to the development of any program, but especially athletics because of the involvement. They come from so many different places with athletes. And if you don't have a central location for it, supporting it, it doesn't happen. And we're not just seeing it in football, we're seeing it across the board. And that begins with everybody sitting up there. And past members as well, but certainly the current membership, because Melanie, Ron, we've all been scared of each other for years. And it's been incredible. And it goes on to other things, not just before, but during and after and postseason, preseason. That support is, it's vital. Without it, it's just vital. And then you take that and you look at these two sitting over here, and it goes right into the building and it comes right to us. And it is felt, it's palpable, and you guys need to take a lot of recognition and honor yourselves as well, because these don't happen at the level that you're talking about, Mike, Dr. Stacy, than what has been happening. And that begins and ends with you guys, and we can't thank you enough.
Appreciate it. I will echo a couple of things. Number one, you're right. I mean, the program to reach the level that you're currently at, number one, it takes an incredible strong foundation with the teams below you, and hats off to you for having that. And number two, it takes support. I mean, it does. I can point to any post-secondary institution that has a quality program, and I promise you it's being supported. So hats off for saying that publicly. Much appreciated. But guys, really a couple of interesting developments throughout the season. All right, a couple highs, a couple lows. I give you guys a ton of credit. I give you a ton of credit for being able to stay mature and focused through every single one of those. And I mean, crazy. I know it's more. I know it's more, like Coach is talking about. I know it's so much more, because you don't win 4 state championship games by a total of 5 points just by accident. All right, that takes a mental fortitude that the crazy thing is, all right, take Sam aside. All right, small institution, right, superintendent, I watch every one of you, right, from here all the way up. All right, so I cheer with you. I mourn with you. I celebrate. I cry. I mean, almost like you're my own in a weird, strange way. And ladies, I same with you on those cold nights. I'm like, man, God, I hate that they're down here, right? I got to remember to buy some better gear, right? I mean, just like I would if my own was down there. And it's so interesting. It's one of the things I appreciate. But I do want to point out that mental fortitude and that expectation of excellence, that has to be ingrained, because you don't win 4 games by a total of 5 points by accident. I don't care if there's a double doinker involved or not. So hats off to you. Congratulations. Proud of you. Proud of the grit as much as the end result. Proud of the staying united as a team when you had many, many, many different times throughout the year to crack. So very impressive. If you don't mind, we would love a picture. Hey, you all gonna have to hop in the front on this one.
Yeah. Can you all kind of face me?
Ladies?
Maybe the girls go down in front.
Scoot back. Yeah. Hey, Coach, please pass along to your staff, too. I appreciate them as well. All right. And just so the board knows, the gentleman did pick out another hubcap. I definitely cannot call it a ring. It is a hubcap.
Oh. So it's not wearable?
I mean, it's wearable if you put it on one ring and hold it as you're walking with your other hand. So it's a copy of UC's big national champion. Oh, well. All right. Hey, gentlemen, you all are more than welcome to stay. Ladies, you all are more than welcome to stay, but you also may exit at this time. If you're not, you get to hear about the C-dip. Thanks for coming in. CJ, I do appreciate. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Here we go.
All right.
Carrying on, do we have anybody signed up for public comment?
No, we do not.
At this time, I would like to turn the meeting over to Dr. Stacy so that we can take the reorganization of the board.
Hope I don't need that.
Well,
All right. I'd like to entertain a motion for chair.
I'll make the motion for Ron to be chairperson.
I have a second.
I will second.
All right. Ms. Reed, will you do the roll call?
Yep, Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sleet?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
All right. There you go.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to open the floor for nominations for vice chair. I would like to nominate Jeannie Berger.
I will second.
Mrs. Reed?
Yes, Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sleet?
Bless you.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Sorry,
Bless you.
I probably went faster.
Okay, I would now like to open nominations for secretary. At this time, I would like to nominate Dr. Mike Stacy. Can I get a second?
Oh, a second, sorry.
I was going to say, if there's no second, that's fine.
Sorry. Well, we
Mrs.
don't have
Berger?
it for- Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sleet?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
And now I'd like to take nominations for treasurer. I'd like to nominate Mrs. Christy Ward.
I'll second.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
it's not in front of us. Sorry.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sleet?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
Okay, now that's all complete, we can move on. Section 3A, we set our monthly regular board meetings, dates, times, and location. My suggestion would be, since we are working well at the 6 o'clock time, that we remain with that, second Monday of every month, and the location being here at Beechwood's Cafe. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
And I'll go ahead and identify, just as an addition, those joint meetings between SBDM and board, that we hold those January and July.
January and July.
So instead of a working session, that will actually be a meeting.
Okay.
Is it? Was it August? Okay, January and August.
Was it January?
I thought it was.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
So January and August?
January.
January and August.
All right, ready?
Yes.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sleet?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
Okay, we need to set our work sessions, which we still do every other month, on the fourth Monday of the month, 6 o'clock here at the cafe. Somebody like to make a motion for that same time frame?
I'll make the motion to set the monthly work sessions for the fourth Monday of each month.
I'll second that.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sleet?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
Okay, the next section is our finance reviewer. The recommended motion is to approve that Amy Sleet will be the finance reviewer.
I'll second.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sleet?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
Okay, our next section, 3D, the 2023-2024 school calendar. Our first reading was last month on the 12th. The recommended motion is to approve the 2023-2024 school calendar.
I'll make the motion to approve the 23-24 school calendar. I'll second.
Now, the one thing that you guys have mentioned is putting out, at one point, you did a 3-year calendar. You can only make one of those official, and the next 2 are draft. But you've mentioned that you liked having that out. If that's something that you would want for us to do, you just need to tell me. Because we pretty much have the same format, and we can release those to the public and just put draft on them. But that's something, just let me know what you want me to do.
Okay.
How often does that committee meet?
Every year.
No, but how often during the year? Like,
You meet twice?
We meet as many as 3 times as needed, but typically we have, at this point, only meet once per calendar year.
because Noreen was on that, so we need to.
We'll have to do all of our committee stuff again, but we'll typically do that next month.
Ready? Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sleet?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
Okay, section E, the 2023-2024 draft budget, which is for informational review only. Dr. Stacy?
Yeah, so I mean, we've actually, have a pretty decent projection. I mean, we have a decent carry. I mean, as the auditor said last time, I mean, our finances are pretty strong. There are a couple of things that, we need to discuss if you want to make changes. I mean, this is just so you can start to see, the forecast for the next year. Obviously, that doesn't take into account, different variations of different numbers that you all could choose to do, both from salaries, or taxes, or any other direction. So I'm pleased it's strong, carries strong, and that's with, some unexpected, always have unexpected costs, so I don't know if we count them unexpected or not, but, like the bleachers. Bleachers, $131,000 to replace the bleachers at this point. That doesn't make any sense to keep repairing them. That's just one example for the upcoming year, but
Is that in the old gym or the
varsity gym.
varsity gym?
Yes, yes. So those will be replaced this summer, along with some of the construction although that's not in the bid. I mean, if you have any specific questions, I mean, it's just a draft, it's more for your information. And now we need to start having conversations about exactly how you want it to look when we get to the final one that you're gonna vote on. I believe we do that in April or May.
We vote on it in May.
Yeah, yeah,
I was thinking the salary schedule.
So,
Is there nothing that you anticipate changing in this, or?
this is the draft based on those projections right there in the footnotes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have to have conversations about if you want any of those numbers to change, what that would do.
Okay.
And I know you all have had some individual discussions with me about different topics. I mean, I'll just have to show you how those factor in, and you'll have to look at the numbers.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. F, the Comprehensive District Improvement Plan, CDIP, for 2022-2023. The recommended motion is to approve the district's comprehensive improvement plan for 2022-2023.
Make the motion to approve the district's comprehensive plan for 2022-23.
I'll second.
Yeah. I would say that I did this, but I did not. I had somebody that does a better job than me do it. So Dr. Schobel completed the CDIP, and I've asked her just to get you with a couple of highlights before you make your final vote. Dr. Schobel.
So both schools did their comprehensive school improvement plans approved by their SBDM, and you have those as well. Once everything's approved, the CSIPs and the CDIPs, it'll go on the website after your approval tonight. Basically, as a small district, the CDIPs is really taking things from just a CSIP and ZAC CSIP. It is new this year. The state changed it a bit, just for your awareness. They want 3-year goals based on the Kentucky Summative Assessment data in the areas of reading, math, science, social studies, writing, graduation rate, post-secondary readiness, English learners, GAP, and the school climate and safety survey. So we have goals in each one of those. We have strategies to work towards each one of those to meet the state requirements. However, just like anything we have to do for the state, this committee does a really good job of making it meaningful, making it tied to the work that we're already doing rather than something else. So they did a great job of making sure that all the work we talked to you about in joint session, the work of the year, our goals, even additional into over what the state wants with KSA. So things like AP, ACT, things like that are all included. So it's really reflective of the work we've been talking about, and we'll continue to update as we get more data. We'll share that with you as we have our next joint session and things like that. So it's right in line with our strategic plan, our district goals, and the school goals that they discussed with you.
The one thing I will add, first of all, if we did a CDIP just off of the state exam, I mean, we did extraordinarily well. I think part of that was staying in school even on a hybrid schedule. We did not have as much loss as other places have, have discussed. However, one thing that I know I've heard them discuss and talk about is taking that next step and looking at, those national data points, AP exams, ACT, MAP. Those are the ones that we really want to make sure that we're keeping an eye on, that we're growing like a light peer in, Massachusetts, California, or any other state that typically performs better than the state of Kentucky. So that's the areas that I'm really kind of watching from my end.
Okay. Okay, we'll go to G, the Comprehensive School Improvement Plan for High School, CSIP, for 2022-2023. I'll take a motion to approve the high school's comprehensive improvement plan for 2022 and 2023.
Before you make that motion, you need to go back and vote on
On
this.
the, yeah.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Reed.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Salviano?
Yes.
Ms. Sleet?
Yes.
Ms. Strickler?
Yes.
Thank you.
So now we go to G, the Comprehensive School Improvement Plan for High School. I will take a motion to approve the high school's comprehensive improvement plan for 2022-2023.
I'll make the motion to approve the comprehensive plan, high school plan for 22-23.
Second.
So obviously you guys are the check and balance. You're the final on both schools' plan. They fall under the CDIP, and both SBDMs have looked at them. But if you have any questions for Justin, now would be the time. Justin, anything you want to specifically point out?
Sarah kind of outlined the process, ran through the SPM, we looked at quality, academic goals, math, science, and social studies as it ties to the KSA. The areas that did very well, the areas that we could grow, specifically some middle grade science, social studies, some high school writing. With our school report card across the board, it was very high or high in every area. Middle school, it was high, very high across the board, but high in our climate survey. High school, it was high, very high across the board, aside from our graduation rate, which took a hit because of the Senate Bill 128. So we're going to take a hit for the next couple of years because of that. So we're usually right around 100%, but we're down to about maybe 95, 94 because of a couple of kids each year not graduating on time because of that. And the other place was still high, still comparatively high, relatively high. The other area which we were high was the post-secondary readiness, which we're still at 94%, so 94% of our graduates are post-secondary ready, which is high, relatively speaking, compared to our schools. So just work we always do there. So you'll see us in the high school wise be blue, which is very high across the board. Probably a couple of years once we get to that, the Senate Bill 128, so that's strong. But aside from that, like mandated stuff, we have our EL goals, we have our GAP goals, and then we've added into that CSIP that is state mandated. Sarah kind of mentioned it, was our AP data, in which we want around a 60% pass rate, which is a lot higher than what it has been historically. So that goal is 60% pass rate on AP, and then ACT back up to that 24 plus range. We've been hovering around the 22, 23 area. We want to get above 24 plus for this year and every year going forward.
Since Mrs. Reed stepped out to have a coffee,
Yeah, yeah.
Phil, would you mind doing the vote?
Yeah.
I'll do it. I might do it.
All right, I do the vote a little different than Ms.
Yeah.
Reed.
Everyone
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
You gotta have this.
The ayes have it, and it passes 4 to nothing.
Okay, moving on, we go to H, the Comprehensive School Improvement Plan for the elementary school. I will take a motion to approve the elementary's Comprehensive Improvement Plan for 2022-2023.
I'll make the motion to approve the elementary's comprehensive improvement plan for 2022 and 2023.
I'll second.
Mr. Ashley?
For the sake of not being redundant, they said most of it. Our specific percentages you can see in there. You see P and D in the document, the proficient and distinguished numbers. That's one of the measurements if we're using KSA, which we are obviously, but we want those numbers to continue to increase as they have. Again, across the board, very high, very pleased with the results. It's hard to set a goal for like a 5th grade writing exam when 90% of the kids in the building are proficient and distinguished. So we are proud of several of the numbers. We are still setting goals and looking to improve. As you can see, if we had 73% proficient and distinguished, over the course of 3 or 4 years, we might want that to be 78%. Try to keep the goals realistic, measurable. As they said also, as we saw it, one of the advantages that we've had over the last few years is already having 3-year goals and 3-year plans in place. So we try to tie that in so that it's not just about KSA. So our SPDMs are really familiar with the fact that, we have cohorts and we have professional learning and we have all these other things that are going on from top to bottom, administrators, teachers, and students that we're all leading and learning, headed in the right direction. KSA is a piece of it. It's not even a great piece of it, but it is a piece of it. Questions?
One of the things that they're specifically looking at is math in relation to reading and exactly where we're a little out of line in a couple of grade levels. That's something Dr. Schobel's been working with them on our next curriculum purchase. But overall, guys, if we just look at, if we really want to just do what the state asks us, this would be a very easy assignment. I continue to say that our district 3-year strategic plan and is weighted for us more heavily than the state comprehensive improvement plan, right? We already have, and that was a great point, we already have our strategic plan, for K-12. And
One more thing.
Yeah.
Sorry. Because those two populations being special ed and EL, gap groups, I did want to also mention those two areas because EL's exiting EL, our access numbers for that exam that measures their readiness has been excellent for the last 2 years. And then our gap populations and our pre-reduced populations in different areas have continued to do well because of our ability to sort of drill down, get into the specific student, we try to individualize everything. Your 750 kids, we're trying not to do cookie cutter stuff. We're trying to make sure that we drill down on each specific kid and what he or she needs. Grove, Lawrence areas have continued to do that as well as any other areas with the students in the portfolio. So,
that's good. I don't have anything else to add unless you all have specific questions. Steve?
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Salviano?
Yes.
Mrs. Slate?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to I, the change order 202-4 to Rising Sun Developing for Phase 6B. Labor and material for opening 202A per RFI 19, non-recurring costs to construction fund. Change is consistent with priorities on DFP. The recommended motion is to approve the change order to Rising Sun Developing in the amount of $3,127.95 in order for opening 202A per RFI 19.
All right, typically this would be one that I would contest, but Mr. Hayes said to please pass along his apologies for his mistake, and that he would be more than happy to make it up to us at the next gala. So I told Joe since it was him, and you're looking at a 50-page blueprint he left out a door. Joe's always done an amazing job for us, so I did recommend to go ahead and approve the change order for $3,100. If you have any questions.
Did we make a motion over?
No, I'll take the motion first.
Okay.
Oh, I'm
I'll make the
sorry.
You're
motion.
okay.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second
I
it,
thought I missed it.
That's my fault.
and then you
all
could
right.
just put in Mike's comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody have questions?
No
You ready?
questions.
No.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Salviano?
Yes.
Mrs. Slate?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to J, the change order 202-5 to Rising Sun Developing for Phase 6B. The rationale is demo existing foundation wall per RFI 25. Non-recurring costs to construction fund, changes consistent with the priorities on DFP. The recommended motion is to approve the change order 202-5 to Rising Sun Developing in the amount of $5,951.25 in order to demo existing foundation wall per RFI 25.
All right, this one.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Dr. Stacy?
I was just waiting.
Yeah. I guess I'm making sure I'll
You're on it. You're on
communicate
it.
specifically. All right, so right outside of these two doors right here, leading out the cafeteria.
That one?
Yes. Right down the commons, right? That's an exterior wall. So they thought that they would be able to use the existing foundation for the commons to lay block on for the new addition. When they got down and dug it out, it was not nearly wide enough to be able to lay concrete block on. By code, they had to have about 8 more inches than they had. Therefore, they have to tear all of that out and rebuild a wider foundation to meet the code. There was no way they would have been able to know that. Therefore, I did approve the change order to be on the board agenda.
So it's right outside this, to the right?
Yes, if you go out those two doors and you look at the edge, the outside edge of the commons.
Does it share the wall with the commons? Or will it share?
Well, now, no, it will not share. There's
Okay.
always,
It's
in
gonna
new
be-
code, there's new block.
Okay, that's what.
Right, so like, if you butt up to this, if any of the building that butts up to this existing building, you're not gonna have two different concrete walls, and
So
that's
it'll be separate.
part of that's a fire break,
Right.
right? So, they just assumed, that the concrete would be in the code, and it wasn't to the updated code. Now, I'm sure when that was put in, it was probably fine,
Right.
but it's not gonna work for us. No way to have known that, is why I approved it.
Ready, Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Salvagnano?
Yes.
Ms. Sleet?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker? Yes.
Okay, moving on to K, we have the change order 202-7 to Rising Sun Developing for Phase 6B. The rationale is disposal of boiler containing ACM materials per contractor claim number 2. I would entertain a recommended motion to approve the change order 2027 to Rising Sun Development in the amount of $5,025.50 in order to dispose of boiler containing ACM materials per contractor claim number 2.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, as we were pulling out the boiler, I have to be careful about how I say, jeez.
Well, we don't know if you're saying bowler or what.
Right. Have to be careful. I realized that it had some hazardous materials that obviously put us into a different spot. We had to call in a different group, and that increased the demo charge. It was handled, no problem, and I was actually glad that we didn't run into more materials in the building that would have to be disposed of differently. So we were very fortunate, but that was the case, and that boiler was about, I think,
I was gonna say, how old was it?
1947, 1948. It
They
was.
last for a long time.
I think you could have shot it with a shotgun, it was still kicked on. I mean, it was amazing. But it had some materials that had to be disposed of differently. Therefore, I approve to put it on the board agenda for a vote.
Ready, Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Salvagnano?
Yes.
Ms. Sleet? Ms.
Yes.
Stricker?
Sorry.
Yes. Sorry. I know, it's me, I talk more about it.
Okay, we can move on to the consent agenda. I will take a motion for approval to adopt the consent agenda.
I move to approve to adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, a couple, I mean, well, we have them on every year, but just something to be aware of. Student accident insurance renewal. The board takes out an accident policy on every student. I think as many kids that we have involved in extracurriculars, that is a good policy that I appreciate that you guys do, that many boards don't do. However, we have had some pretty significant knee injuries every single year, so we have a 2% increase. I don't know how to get away from that, but at the same time, it is something that we need to start thinking about. Where's the point? Do we ask for a cost share? I don't think that would be a bad idea either. It's a great supplemental insurance, and anybody that has used it has been very appreciative, right? And as a parent, I'll even say I appreciate the fact that the board does this. I did put it on with only a 2% increase, and with the fact that we had two larger injuries over the 12-month period, I did put it on for approval. Now, the resolution for supplemental insurance, that's just you guys approving a resolution on a yearly basis on the teacher side. That's just a formality that you go to make sure that you're informed. And then again, a couple leave without pays. But the biggest one is that student accident insurance renewal.
I can't see it for whatever reason. I wasn't able to pull it up. Can you tell me what the increase was?
It went from like $45,000 to $47,000. One catastrophic, I mean, like the thing that we always, right? We don't do it for the common injury. We do it for the catastrophic, right? I mean, that's the one that, it's good for everybody with as many
But
kids that we have
doesn't it
engaged.
cover, it's just not athletes though. It's for everything.
Any
right?
kid, any kid. but most systems don't have 94% of their high schoolers involved in extracurricular as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
You ready?
Mhm.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Ms. Slade?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the information portion. We'll start off with the superintendent's report.
So just a couple of updates on construction. Steel was supposed to be set February the 15th. That is now going to be on Wednesday, a couple of days later than it should have been based on our initial schedule. But weather over break was not quite as conducive to construction as the rest of our project has been. So steel was a couple of days off. It's still way in advance. I would love individually for you guys to set an appointment. There is enough happens that it would be worth your time to come walk through. All the floor is poured. Most every block is laid in the basement. So the auditorium area and the area outside these doors it has a basement. Most all of that block is laid, and that's where the initial steel will be set. That initial steel that's set will allow them to continue building up the auditorium seats on the first floor. As they're finishing that, the block will shift back up, and it'll finish out the technology area, the MSD classrooms, the biomed classroom, and around the media arts lab, right after they get the foundation fixed for it. For a while, it'll seem like there's a really large hole on the high school side, but that will be held out until the very end because that's the way they're getting all of their major equipment in and out of the building. Once the steel starts to be set, they'll obviously come back and close that out, and everything will be craned in. I feel really good about it. I mean, we're still a good month ahead of schedule. The key will be how quick the steel on the entire first floor gets set. Faster it gets set, the faster they get to go up to the second floor. The faster they go to the second floor, the faster they get it dried in. Once they get it dried in, then we can about project where the last day of construction will be. It's hard to go through each element, but it's definitely at a point to where it would be in your best interest, you know, from an informational standpoint, to come walk it with me.
Okay.
Still going on completion as the end of 24, but every month we check off. Obviously, you get to take off of that completion date. Out back, they started taking the fence down. They're supposed to start on the 19th. Again, weather was a little bit of delay, and also they had a delay in that from the mortar and brick standpoint. That's a little bit different order. So they should start on that this next week. When they go, it'll be a pretty big discussion. Also, I'll be talking to each one of you individually. The lower field has a manufacturing flaw. We've gone through about a 4-month process of meeting with Moats, meeting with a third-party insurance company, and they have offered a financial resolution to replace the football field and stay with them. I'd like to review that resolution with you guys, and then it'll be up to you guys on how to move forward. It has gotten to a point through a 4-month process that I am comfortable with the financial number, and you know that's why I'm passing it on to you now. Obviously, we'll coordinate that field replacement, and the field does have to be replaced. I mean, it's deteriorating. So what happened? There's a chemical that goes into the plastic piece that looks like grass, and that chemical keeps it UV tolerant. And the third-party examiner found that there was something off with the recipe, and therefore it did not have the typical UV protection level. So it started deteriorating faster. That first time I've ever heard of it, but luckily we were able to come up with a solution that I think is in line with what you all would expect, from the board. So we always, it's guaranteed, has a warranty for 8 years. Pretty much can guarantee 12 if you take care of it. I mean, we're 6 years in, starting the 7th year. The up top field looks amazing, looks as good as the day we put it down because we maintenance our fields very well. The lower one, it's just losing the grass.
Was it a different, batch or something that they used?
Yeah, it was a different batch. And we're lucky, there's one more field in this area that was put down right at the same time of ours that has the same problem. So it was definitely a flawed batch. So, we had it pressure tested, and GMAX rated, tested. We made it through the year, but I would not recommend, going into another year
So
with the
will
field.
they be able to do that after spring when
Yeah, we'll coordinate it because one thing you definitely don't want to do is you don't want to be pouring concrete and have a concrete residue run off on a brand new field, right? So as soon as they're to a point with the stadium entrance to where they're not pouring, we'll coordinate with whatever decision you guys make. I have two different options, and I'd just like to get your all's take on which one you prefer. That will be somewhere around June to July. And Coach, we've already met as an athletic group. We know the potential best case scenario and worst case scenario, and have contingency plans for both. So I'm not worried about that.
this whole next year is going to be a contingency plan?
This year.
June is when it would be installed, the new would be installed in June?
What's the timeline to
So-
replace the field?
So where it's an existing field, now I do want to tell you, if we're going to take out the field, we're going to go back and look at the drainage. All right, and that field's always had trouble. All right, the drains up top, you can literally get down and walk in them. They're that big. The ones down bottom, we did not pay to have all those ripped out and that much work to be put in.
Who will do that work if we decide to do it?
Well,
The
it'll be
field
which
people?
option you all pick. It'll either be Moats that'll have a subcontractor or another company that has a subcontractor. They'll come in and my gut is that we did not use we used technology from maybe 2000, right? But the subgrade, my gut is the subgrade's not the right material. And over time it wears and it pushes and it comes over to the edge and it blocks the drainage, blocks the
that's-
water from going to the drain.
But that's two separate issues from the performance of the.
Two separate
thing.
issues.
So when we look at that, are we gonna look at, the water, how it's all coming down to the field? Are they gonna look at the whole big picture?
That's part of the stadium entrance,
Okay.
is that drainage and runoff.
Okay.
Because that is the other problem. That whole parking lot basically drains into that field, and that it's very difficult.
But that we already have covered.
Yes. Yes. You will have a break that'll drain, right? So that curved wall has two purposes, right? One, looks really nice. Two, it blocks water. Then right where, if you see the change in surface from asphalt to the track, we'll dig a trench and divert water back into a drain if anything gets by and still hits the path going down to the field. So you'll have double coverage for runoff, which will help. But I still think that there's something wrong with the subgrade.
What about on this side? In that
What's-
corner?
What's that?
This side and that corner?
Yeah, this whole side. I came up the other day, we were to the ashes, after that rain the other night. So that will be addressed. It'll be impossible for me to give you a cost on the drainage. I have very specific costs on turf replacement. Jim, nothing other than the bleachers and the HVAC. The bleachers and the HVAC are going to happen this summer, right, when kids are out. Right, everything else will be on hold until after we complete the stadium entrance. And we can't have both of those going at the same time, and the main reason is for kids that are dropped off at Kroger or walking. We have to have somewhere without construction for them to enter and exit in the morning and afternoon.
So in that bid, we did find out that those air conditioning units were gonna go up top, so they aren't gonna be in the gym anymore, for sure?
That's
We know
correct.
that, okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Busy 12 months.
Yes, sir.
Busy 12 months. And then if you want, just pick a warm day, give me a call. I can pretty much make anything work other than, what's my time, Dr. Shovel? 9:54 to 10:46.
Oh, for your class?
Yeah.
I'm glad you
I can
know.
make anything else work.
Did you say you were gonna reach out to us about the field, or we're supposed to reach out to
I
you?
will reach out to you about the field,
Okay,
because I would like to give you the two different scenarios.
okay.
Finance report?
Finance report is the budget. I'm pleased with the budget, but I know that some of you guys may want to make amendments. We just need to start having those conversations, and that has to happen. We need to know that by April.
Personnel report?
I don't have anything specific at this time.
Okay. At this time, I will entertain a motion for the approval of making the agenda part of the official board minutes.
I'll make a motion to make the agenda part of the official board minutes.
Second?
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Saviano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sleet?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker? Yes.
Okay, moving on. Other business?
I'd just like to say again, I've done this 26 years now. It's the best start of the year that I've had, and the second semester has started just as cleanly. I don't know what it is. I think I said that in the legacy that's coming out. I don't know exactly what it is. It may just be the end of the pandemic and people being so ready to be back into the swing of things. I have no idea, but I can tell you it continues to be the smoothest year I've had in my tenure, and I think admin would echo that as well. So we can't tell you what it is, but as long as it keeps going, I'm going to keep thanking everybody for a great year.
Can you back up some board or something?
Right.
Yeah.
It's true though, you got to say it, but I know.
Any other board members have anything to say? Any ideas? Any new business? I would like to take a moment for the hundreds in attendance and thousands listening right now. I am honored and humbled to fulfill the position of chair. I will do my ultimate best to fulfill the requirements, and I am looking forward to moving forward with all the work that Dr. Stacy, the staff, the administration, and the board has done in the past couple years and move to the future. I live by the words, "We are Beechwood." I want everyone to know that communication with us is easily done via an email or a text. We all prefer face-to-face. We will not, in any shape or form, discuss things on social media. We do prefer that you talk to us, and we are approachable. I shop at Kroger every Saturday morning. You can find me there talking to anybody and everybody. And I want to make sure that everybody knows where we're going as a group. Again, we are Beechwood. Thank you.
All right.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Saviano? Mrs.
Yes.
Stricker? Mrs. Sleet?
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And again, I'll touch base with you.